You're about to buy something, or book something, or trust someone you just met. So what do you actually do? You don't just check the star rating. You scroll straight to the comments. You look for a stranger's opinion, something that sounds like a real person, not a number. Here's the strange part. You probably trust that stranger's comment more than the actual rating sitting right next to it. Why would a comment from someone you've never met feel more reliable than data? Most people assume this is a modern habit, a side effect of growing up online. But the truth is much older than any app. In the 1990s, evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar at the University of Oxford set out to understand something odd about human conversation. He and his team eavesdropped on real conversations in public places, cafes, trains, waiting rooms, and tracked exactly what people talked about. The results surprised him. Roughly two-thirds of everyday conversation wasn't about facts, work, or ideas. It was about other people, who did what, who can be trusted, who can't. In other words, gossip. Dunbar didn't see this as a flaw in human nature. He saw it as the reason language exists at all. His theory goes like this. Primates bond through physical grooming, picking through each other's fur one-on-one. But as human groups grew larger than any primate group before them, there wasn't enough time in the day to groom everyone you needed a relationship with. So language evolved to do the same job, faster. You can't groom 10 people at once, but you can talk to them. Gossip, in Dunbar's view, is verbal grooming, a way to maintain dozens, even hundreds of relationships that physical touch alone could never scale to. Psychologist Frank McAndrew at Knox College took the theory further. He found that gossip isn't random chatter. It's targeted, almost always, at information that matters for survival within a group. Who's trustworthy, who's not, who's rising in status, who's about to fall. In small ancestral communities, this mattered enormously. There was no police force, no background check. Gossip was the system. It quietly tracked who could be trusted with your resources, your child, your safety. Which brings us to something Matthew Feinberg, a psychologist at the University of Toronto, discovered in 2012. In his research, participants who watched someone behave selfishly and then had the chance to warn others by passing along that information showed something measurable happening in their bodies. Their heart rate, elevated by watching the unfair behavior, calmed down after they shared the warning. Gossip, in other words, isn't just self-interest. It's a release valve, and it protects the group, not just the gossiper. Here's the twist. None of this actually requires the information to be about someone you know. Your brain doesn't check credentials before it responds to social information. It just responds to the format, a person telling you something about another person's behavior, which is exactly what a comment section is. When you scroll past the star rating and go straight to a stranger's review, some ancient part of your brain isn't reading data. It's listening to gossip. And gossip, to that part of your brain, has always felt more trustworthy than a number, because for most of human history, a number didn't exist. A voice did. This is also why an entire generation has started treating platforms like TikTok and Instagram as search engines instead of Google, typing questions into caption boxes instead of search bars, and trusting the answers in the comments more than the official result at the top of the page. Researchers call it social search. Dunbar would probably just call it the oldest habit we have, running on new hardware. So the next time you skip the rating and scroll for a stranger's opinion, you're not being irrational. You're doing what your species has done since long before search engines, before writing, before most of history was written down at all. Listening for the voice in the group that tells you who and what you can actually trust.